Chapter 25, Happy Clients, Happy Agents. 90% of my business was done for Family Security Credit Union. They had branches all over North Alabama, and that meant that I would have accounts on vehicles financed all over North Alabama, Southern Tennessee, even Georgia and Mississippi. Family Security Credit Union in Decatur, Alabama was an exceptional client. At the time I worked for them, Tina Hall was the lady who put the vehicles out to be repossessed. If I made contact with the debtor during business hours, we could call Tina. If the debtor could make arrangements to pay without me taking the vehicle, that meant I could leave the vehicle, put the account on hold, and go to my next address. If the debtor paid up to date, I got paid for a close instead of a repo fee, and a close was $50 and a repo was $70. So that was worth $20 for me not to have to go back to the lot with my vehicle, tow it back to the lot, put it in there, do the paperwork, and then go back to where I picked it up to go to my next stop. And sometimes I had 20 or 25 closes on a pay period. I think we got paid every 2 weeks. We stored our vehicles in South Huntsville for several years, and then we bought a lot on Buster Road in Falkville, Alabama, and that's where we store them now. All the vehicles repossessed by Family Security were sold at Dealers Auto Auction on Highway 72 in Athens, Alabama. Dealers Auction would send a van down to our storage lots once or twice a week with drivers to get the vehicles and drive them back to the auction. And they'd have to tow what couldn't be driven. Well, it's about 33 miles from dealers to our storage lot. Family Security had to pay dealers for every vehicle they picked up and brought back to the auction. Well, I only live about 10 miles from dealers' auction, so I talked to dealers and they gave me a key to their storage lot. If I could drop the cars off directly at dealers, it would save Family Security a lot of money. Plus, it would save me a lot of time by not having to drive all the way to Falkville and put the car in the lot and then come home. Well, this system worked great. Alabama Auto Adjusters wasn't charging Family Security a fee for storage, so they weren't losing any money. It saved Family Security a lot of money because they didn't have to pay to bring the vehicles back to Falkville. Saved me a lot of time. The biggest problem was the paperwork. The paperwork on my end, really, because I don't know if Josh and the office people, I don't know if they would approve of my arrangement. So I just didn't tell them about it. If I picked up a vehicle, I'd write up the vehicle's paperwork and I'd send it in as if the vehicle was stored at my lot in Falkville, even though they were already at the lot over at Dealers Auto Auction. And then we had to sign papers and make it look like we were releasing vehicles to dealers when they'd come down to get one or two of them that were already down there. And if that seems confusing to you, just join the club. But we made it work, and it helped everybody, and it helped keep the client happy. Keeping the client happy wasn't always easy. Now, Tina and Family Security and a lot of others were easy to work for. They trusted us and our judgment. They didn't put any pressure on us to get a vehicle unless they thought, it was pressing, the debtor was about to skip town with the collateral or something like that. But some lenders acted like they were the only client we had and that all we had to do was work their account and that they had assigned to us. And many would request updates on their accounts every day. They wanted an update every day. And that was impossible to work an account every day unless they lived next door to you, okay? I've had 30 or 40 accounts open at one time, and there's no way to get to them all every day or even every other day. I made 3 folders. You hear me talk about I was working west or I was working east. I had west, central, and east, and I divided them up, and I'd work one area one day and go to the next area and rotate around as much as I could. If a client called and needed an update and we didn't have a current update, we didn't have a recent they demanded one, we didn't have a recent one, sometimes we would have to make up an update. And I won't call it lying. There's that word again. It was more of a practice in creative writing. Now, MapQuest and Google Maps were not around in my heyday, but I can see how they would be helpful in describing a given address before you got there physically to check it out. We worked all of our accounts and produced for the clients. We did the best we could to keep a regular schedule and check any addresses that we had. We had to work an account at least once to have at least one update in the system, and that way if the client closed it, we still got a close fee for it. But you know, they did sometimes. I mean, clients expect too much. One of our clients was Huntsville Teachers Credit Union. The lady who put the vehicles out to be repossessed was Carolyn Henshaw. Their office was over on Whitesburg Drive in Huntsville. And she used Alabama Auto Adjusters several times, and we never got a lot of accounts from her, but she liked the Alabama Auto Adjusters. She just thought that they charged too much. I'd met her when I was delivering repoed vehicles to the credit union on Whitesburg Drive, and we got to be pretty good friends. We talked quite, frankly with each other, and she liked me. She liked Alabama Auto Adjusters. She just felt like we charged too much. Finances was beyond my pay grade. Having been in business once, I knew that asset recovery was an expensive operation to run, so I'd try to get her to see that you get what you pay for, and that's true. Some fly-by-night repo company might be cheaper, but you're gambling that they have all the required insurance and that they know what they're doing. Anyway, I kept up a good relationship with her, and she didn't like the fees we charged just to open and work an account either. Clients had to pay a fee to Alabama Auto Adjusters whether we picked the vehicle up or not. Our entering the account into the computer and working the account was worth something. And that's why they could pay the agent a close fee if he worked it. So, we might spend a couple of weeks trying to track down a vehicle and never locate it. One day she had a car that she needed to be put out for repo, and she called me. Now, Carolyn didn't like having to pay for anything if we didn't get the vehicle, and I can understand that. I mean, it is what it is. That's just what we had to do. Most of her accounts were in or near Huntsville, so I made a deal with her. I said, if you're thinking about putting a vehicle out for repo, send me the address where you think they might live or where the vehicle might be. Text me the last address you have, and I'll go by there when I'm in the area. And I'm not going to make a special trip, and I'm not going to work it, but I'll go by there, and I'm not even going to check the VIN. But if you're looking for a red Chrysler 300, and I go by that address and see a red Chrysler 300 at the address, I'll let you know. Then you can send the information into our office and hire us to pick up the vehicle, being fairly confident that it's going to be easy to recover. We did that several times with good results. I never offered to pick up anything for her without her going through the company. I'm not going to compromise my integrity by using company equipment for my own personal gain. That would have been dishonest. I have towed many vehicles on my own without any paperwork for them, but never for money, but as a favor. And I just throw this in because this is extra chapter. It's not in the book. We got word that one of our repo guys was using the truck for his own business. He'd gone to see several finance companies, and they were using him to pick up vehicles, and so he's using the company truck. He's working for the company and using the company truck, but he's also using the company truck and working for himself. Well, when I heard about it, I called the boss. I said, man, I just heard so-and-so do it. No, I ain't doing that. I said, look, I just talked to the guy, and he says they are. He says he's talked to lenders who said that the guy, no, he's just jealous. He ain't doing that. Okay, whatever. Well, then, a few weeks later, he finds out that he is, and it just, being dishonest is just not worth it. It's just not worth the headaches. It's just not worth the, you got to have a good memory if you're going to be a crook, because you got to remember all of them lies that you told. So the best thing to do is find a good company or be a good company and do the best you can to keep the client happy. And if you have to, I almost said that word. If you have to make an operation and practice creative writing, do the best you can to get by there and visit get by there that address before too long to keep that client happy, because you got to keep the clients happy, and if you keep a client happy, it'll keep you happy. Say amen right there.